So, okay, I'll explain what's an SBOM. SBOM is software bill of material. It's, you can say, list of all the products or all the software components present in your particular product. So, say if you are like have a Go SDK for maybe AWS, anything that is like Go, any internal dependency that it use, it is stated in that SBOM. So, on simple level, SBOM is that. Since like we already don't have much people regarding SBOM, like anyone have anyone like struggled with like false positive and vulnerability reports by any chance? So just to explain it quickly, when we scan a SBOM, there is a chance that some vulnerability reported are not actually present in your software. So these are the false positives that we will be discussing here and how CVE Binary Tool fixes them. So now about me, I'm Sanskar. I was last year's mentee for Google Summer of Code, and I'm mentoring this year. I'm also now a maintainer for CVE Binary Tool project. Last year itself, I was also a LFX mentee, where I worked with Inspector Gadget on introducing a testing framework. And currently, I'm a software engineer with Nirmata. So why does like vulnerability triage really matters? So for that, I have a really great story to share that exactly define like why do you need a vulnerability triage. Let's say you are an organization Y, okay? You have a firmware update that you wanted to share with organization X, okay? So before sharing that firmware, you also included a SBOM with it. As I explained, what is an SBOM? You included SBOM with it, and Rishabh. If anyone wondering who is Rishabh, he is the same guy from the first slide. So a security auditor at organization X scans the SBOM, and he finds that there is a particular CVE that is getting in the vulnerability report. So he raised concern with like organization Y who shared that. But organization Y, to his surprise, responded that they actually know about the CVE, and it is a known CVE. The function A that is used in the product, say maybe get this util, get that util, that is vulnerable. But the function, like this actual vulnerable function is not being used in the product itself. So actually the product is not affected by that vulnerability. So if you take a look, this situation can occur multiple times in a release cycle. And this like back and forth of sharing this information, getting back to like each other and all, this creates inefficiency, and obviously manual clarification takes much time and efforts. So a simple document might help to get this like solved, but that won't help if that particular document is not machine readable. I mean, essentially you have to do is scan, and then you have a document like Google Docs, and then you are manually filtering, oh, okay, that's not vulnerable, okay, we can skip this one, we can skip this one. So that document should be machine readable, so that CVE Binary Tool, for example, a tool from which you can do the heavy lifting just because the document is now machine readable. But triage still need to be done manually. I mean, there has to be a human intervention to tell, okay, this vulnerability is not affecting our product. So what's the solution? Simple solution would be organization will be like including a VEX document. I'll come back to what's a VEX document. For now, they'll include a VEX document with SBOM, and the VEX document will mark that particular vulnerability. They'll mark that particular vulnerability with non-affected, and they'll provide a justification that vulnerable code is not present in the actual product. Now Rishabh, what he'll do, he'll scan both SBOM and VEX using CVE Binary Tool, and tool will filter out that particular vulnerability that is not affected, and it will only show the vulnerability that he should be focusing more on. Okay, yeah. So yeah, faster result, like fewer false positive and better collaboration between the teams. But what is actually SBOM? As I mentioned that I'll get on it. As you can see, it is a VEX is a vulnerability exploitable exchange, a structured like machine readable. Surely that this is a textbook definition of what is VEX. But clearly, I think this guy would understand what is VEX if I included previous so. But what really is VEX? VEX is kind of a security advisory, or you can say a negative advisory uh, that is sent out in case of S-bombs. So you can tell, okay, just I mentioned that you can tell, okay, this particular product that is included in this S-bomb is not vulnerable. So you can skip that in like your triaging. Yeah. It's not just a list of vulnerabilities. You will see, even when I started like learning about VEX and all, I was just like used to think that VEX is nothing but list of vulnerabilities. But that is essentially missing the whole picture. What a list of vulnerabilities won't tell you that, okay, if this vulnerability is affecting my product, how is it affecting? And if it's not affecting, why it is not affecting? So that gives you a whole picture, complete picture regarding your vulnerability data. About CVE tool, it started off as a vulnerability scanner for binaries and was part of Intel open source, like since 2020. It was behind the closed doors. Repo was essentially private for way before that time. I think Ryan must have good stories to tell regarding that. But now it's like it's good place to announce that after before like few months, we had to like migrate CVE tool to an open source organization, and it's great to like announce here that we are now currently under the umbrella of OpenSSF now. Migration is not completely done, but yeah, you will find us under them. Yeah, SBOM support was way back from like 2021. We have been participating in Google Summer of Code for like last 5 years, and I was last year's mentee. This year, we also have 2 mentees, Joydeep and Jigyasu. We support more than 400 like binary checkers. So what you can do is run CVE tool on a binary, and it will tell you exactly what all components are present, or maybe you can say what all vulnerable components are present. Because by default, checker design is such that any vulnerable code, like you have to include any vulnerable particular component, like patterns and all. So it will only detect those. And people also use it as a like getting a list of what the components are present and like discarding the vulnerability reports being generated. Yeah, and my journey started with CVE tool, like contributing to open source in like Hacktoberfest. So yeah. So looking at CVE tool's workflow, we get our data from multiple data sources. Some of mention some of them are NVD, Red Hat, OSV, and GitLab and curl and all. What we do after, as I told, like we have binary checkers. Addition to that, we also have language parsers, which will take a language dependency file and parse them and extract relevant information. I'll get back to like what's relevant information I'm mentioning here, and use that to map it to like national CVE database, national vulnerability database, and we'll get all the vulnerability information from that. We also support SBOM. So yeah, we'll create a CVE list from all these. If you have passed multiple files, we'll get those too. My project that I worked on last year was part of this 4th stage, that was include triage and additional data, essentially to triage and getting our priorities correctly to only focusing on real CVs and generating reports and different outputs and all. So CVE tool at its core is we try to save this main information, that is product, version, and vendor. Using this, you can try fetching the vulnerability database, and you'll get all the vulnerability related to this particular product info. So in any binary checkers, in any language parser, in any SBOM, in any VEX, we try to extract this 3 things and map it to a like database. So initial challenges that was in start of GSoC last year, that were mainly to improve the experience. That were mainly to improve the triage experience CVE tool using VEX. So we already supported VEX, but the support was very limited. We also didn't use external libraries for that, so any generation or any parsing was done on tool itself. We wanted to support mainly three VEX formats, CSAF, CycloneDX, and OpenVEX. Yeah, so earlier we only had CycloneDX support. We didn't have any streamline, as I told, yeah, so VEX on journal have like three main components. It is VEX metadata. VEX metadata includes all the information regarding when it was created, by whom it was created, and other similar, what was the like schema version of the particular document, all those stuff. Product is, example, any product that you are scanning, it includes all the information regarding that, mainly what is the name of product, like what is the version number, or who is the supplier or who is the vendor of that product. And statement include all the information related to vulnerabilities that are maybe one vulnerability that is CVE something, and that will include status, justification, and other things. We'll get back to that again. So here are the VEX comparison between these three. I'll draw very simple comparison, not in-depth one. So these are all the things that you will find in your statement section. So obviously in all three we'll include the vulnerability ID. There are multiple vulnerability ID. NVD, that is the main data source of CVE Binary Tool, mainly uses CVE dash year of that CVE and any number. So you might have seen them. I'll show it again. And status and all. Status is whether it's affected, it's not affected, is it a false positive, and any other status. Components are also listed. SBOM link is a feature that is much more limited to CycloneDX, because CycloneDX also makes SBOMs, CycloneDX also makes VEX. So compatibility between these are pretty good. So yeah, SBOM is pretty linkable between these. And remediation, like if you found a vulnerability, is there any remediation? Is there anything that you can do to fix that? Yeah. So main use cases of these different three VEX formats are, CSAF generally is used by mainly the government's body and government side of thing, mainly US government, for different, like any firmware, anything, and like that. CycloneDX is the main primary target of this demo and this talk itself. CycloneDX is mainly designed to meet the needs of the like supply chain side of things. So you'll see, if you see anyone like generating SBOMs and all, it's probably CycloneDX itself. VEX is very simple version of CycloneDX, you can say. It includes lesser information, and yeah, it's for the people who are trying to adopt VEX for first time. So it's pretty simple on that, developer friendly too. So there were two phases of this project. Phase 1 was building foundation, and phase 2 was making it functional. Phase 1 included refactoring the existing code and use some external library to do any heavy lifting. That was parsing, generation, and getting all of the parsed like data into a common format and all. So much of the code were refactored. That was involving VEX. Then phase 2 was to make a algorithm to actually triage the data. So we are getting the data from lib4vex, okay, but we have to still triage it or maybe implement some process so that it's filter out the irrelevant data from our final generated report. Yeah. So lib4vex is a Python library. It generates a VEX document in JSON format, parses and extract vulnerability details and all. And you can actually use this library itself also. Currently, we are using it as a under the hood like module for CVE Binary Tool, but yeah, it can be directly used as well. So the common object that I talked about in like previous slide, were like analysis states and all. These are the main center of, you will say, center where we like do all the triaging. So CycloneDX, for example, have in triage. exploitable, resolved, false positive, or not affected. So based on this, we triage the data out from the initial scan or gathered data. Mainly, we filtered out anything mentioning false positive and not affected. So this is CVE Binary Tool's whole architecture. Under the hood, we use live for SBOM and CSAF tool, and that also, like live for VEX also abstract those out itself. And for all the SBOM operation, we also use live for SBOM. So it's like a little bit complex architecture under the hood. The VEX flow looks.
Sanskar, hey, here. Sorry to disturb you. I was hoping your diagrams will become less complicated as we go along, but it's kind of like.
It's not complicated. I'll try to explain.
Is it going to go on for long because it's break time almost?
Okay. I'll not. I have included this one, but I won't like explain it.
Okay.
I'll just show a demo quickly. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is whole VEX. You can find this in
also.
Slide. Sorry.
Define quickly, because like Chai is waiting and a lot of people want a break.
So let's see it in action. Okay.
Can you make the font a little bigger? Sorry.
I have to do it in settings, I guess. Okay, no.
Yeah, once more. No, do the same thing. Just do that plus like 5 times or something.
Is it visible now? Yeah, should I do it once or twice?
That's good.
Yeah, okay. So let's see, we have an SBOM. Okay. I'll copy paste command for saving us quite a bit of time. So I'll explain all the quickly explain all the commands that we are using. So here we are scanning a SBOM file. It has 2 products, so it will show in result. We have VEX type set to CycloneDX. We are scanning a CycloneDX SBOM, and we are generating a CycloneDX VEX. And we have passed what are the product information that is like linked to this particular SBOM. And I'm using offline flag so that we don't have to like instantaneously like update the DB. Yeah. Yeah, so as we can see, there are few of the vulnerabilities listed. You can have archive and DO, okay? Let's see the VEX file now, quickly. Okay. So we can see this VEX file. It has all the metadata that I talked about. It has component list. And in the components, we can find the actual vulnerabilities. So as I told, let's try to do like change. We found that this vulnerability is not affecting our product. Let's try to change it to not affected. And so we have changed it to not affected. Now we'll save it and use it again to scan our SBOM. And this time we'll see that our SBOM will be showing this particular vulnerability with not affected tag on it. I think I miscalculated the time I was taking.
Miscalculated is the biggest understatement of 2025, yes.
Okay, my bad. Okay, I think I missed one. Yeah, this.
No, I think what's happening is those
No. Those are present. Let me just bypass them. Yeah. Now we can see that the archive that we marked as non-affected is shown in different different section. And what if we want to triage it out from the report itself? So we'll use a filter triage flag. What it will do is it will remove that particular vulnerability from that generated report.
The only
And it will
filter
also
we
log
want
out
now
the
is
same thing. So
filter coffee.
just one minute. Yeah, so we can see that it has filtered out this particular CV for product archive. So yeah, this was the main demo. Yeah.
Where's the thank you slide?
Yeah, so it's much information about CVE Binary Tool. This slide would be available after the talk. You can also go and check us out at like GitHub and all. Yeah, these are the some things that we are working on. One of this is GSoC project 2025. That is work in progress, no scan mode. And yeah, so like huge shout out to my mentors, Terry, Anthony, and like Ben. You should follow, if you are anyway interested in SBOMs and VEX, you should definitely follow Anthony. He has a lot of information regarding that and a lot of things to share with you. And yeah.
Please give him a big round of applause.